What if the quiet little lane you drove past last night hides the wildest showdown your HOA group chat has ever whispered about? Picture a Saturday sunrise so peaceful you can hear the sprinklers click, until a neon blazer, community guardian, and her gamer brother crash onto a neighbor's porch and announce, clipboards blazing, that his deed belongs to them. Within minutes, forged paperwork turns into a 911 call, a viral live stream, and a courtroom drama where emojis, drones, and a weaponized Spider-Man t-shirt become smoking gun evidence. Laws are shattered, property lines redrawn, and a single ring camera video threatens to upend every myth you've heard about keeping the neighborhood safe. Will justice roar, or will a Karen's last stand rewrite the rulebook for good? Buckle up. In the next few minutes you'll see how calm logic, ruthless receipts, and one very caffeinated homeowner flip a racist power grab into the most satisfying takedown of the year. Ready to dive into the chaos? Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, city, country, or couch coordinates, then smash that like button, share the scandal with your friends, and hit subscribe. Don't forget the bell, so you never miss the next real-life plot twist. I was halfway through my first mug of Ethiopian roast and the weekend comics when the front door rattled like a snare drum. 2 minutes earlier Maple Grove had been the picture of suburb serene, finches on the feeder, lawn mowers still sleeping, me, Marcus Ellis, software architect by week, die-hard introvert by weekend, admiring the sheen on the hardwood floors I'd refinished myself. Then came the pounding. Not a neighborly knock, but the full fist, rent is past due barrage that makes you wonder if the HOA has launched a SWAT division. A quick glance at the Ring app showed neon peach power fabric filling the frame. Enter Charlene Whitaker, the neighborhood's loudest rule whisperer, wearing a blazer so aggressively orange you could measure its lumens. Tucked under her arm, a clipboard bristling with color-coded tabs, Charlene's version of a badge. Beside her loomed a guy who had to be her brother. Trevor Whitaker, early 30s, cargo shorts, and a Spider-Man tee battling valiantly against a weekend beer belly. The piece de resistance, two-wheeled suitcases stationed like attack dogs on either side of his flip-flops. Something in Trevor's grin screamed, "Mission accomplished," before a single word passed. I opened the door a polite 6 inches, just enough to project friendliness, not enough to invite chaos. "Morning, Charlene." "Broken doorbell?" I asked. My neighbor inhaled like she'd been holding her breath since the market crash. "Marcus, we have an urgent matter regarding your deed." Clipboard up, eyes down, her favorite power stance. "My deed? I'd owned the bungalow 3 years, mortgage paid on time, taxes even earlier." Still, the phrase, "urgent matter," flicked a chill across my shoulders. Trevor stepped forward, giving the suitcases a hopeful tug. "Bro, there's been a clerical hiccup. House was supposed to be earmarked for, well, me." He flashed a thumbs up as if the universe had drawn his number. I caught a whiff of day-old IPA and, was that nacho cheese, drifting from his Spider-Man shirt. Charlene's clipboard snapped open. According to Community Compatibility Protocol B12, she slid a sheet toward my face. "This property failed final demographic alignment." Translation, wrong homeowner complexion for her curated census. My smile flattened. I'd heard whispers of Charlene's standards audits, but until this pixelated moment they'd been HOA gossip, another Karen legend for the group chat. Now her paperwork had real luggage attached. Trevor rolled a suitcase over the threshold before I could blink, wheels echoing across my cedar planks. "Need to see if my rig fits the spare room," he said. Spare room? The man was assigning furniture in a house where he'd logged 0 nights and 0 mortgage payments. I stepped forward, reclaiming the doorway with a calmer voice than my pulse allowed. "Suitcase stays outside, Trevor. Charlene, whatever forms you printed at Office Depot don't outrank county records." Clipboard hovered, confidence faltered. Behind me, espresso cooled, in front of me, a boundary war warmed. Saturday's serenity had lasted exactly 3.5 sips. Charlene's clipboard trembled, but she forced a smile that looked stapled to her face. Marcus, you're overreacting. Community compatibility decisions are never comfortable, but they're vital. Vital for whom? I asked, nudging Trevor's suitcase back over the threshold with my foot. He huffed, cheeks mottling crimson. Charlene clicked a pen like firing a starter pistol. Step 1 is voluntary turnover. Step 2, mediation through the HOA. Step 3, law enforcement escort. Let's not escalate. She underestimated my caffeine-fueled patience. Charlene, you and Spider-Man have 60 seconds to exit my porch or I call the county sheriff. That's the only law escort happening today. Trevor scoffed. Bro, you'd really drag cops into this? Over some paperwork? Paperwork you forged on your sister's laser printer, I said. Charlene's nostrils flared. Those forms use established templates. From where, Pinterest? Trevor lunged forward, phone raised. Fine, dude, you call 911, I'll live stream. Let the internet decide which of us belongs here. A red rec dot flashed across my doorway. I raised an eyebrow. Great. Tag it #KarenEviction so the algorithm knows where to shelve it. Charlene stepped between us, voice syrupy. We can compromise. Marcus, surely a cash incentive to relocate would ease tensions. A bribe? I laughed. You want me to smoothly transition so Trevor can convert my guest room into a gamer cave? Trevor perked up. Open concept desk, RGB lights, you'd dig it. Before I could answer, my elderly neighbor Mrs. Holcomb appeared on her porch in fuzzy slippers, squinting at the commotion. Marcus, honey, everything all right? Working on it, I called, loud enough for Charlene's camera mic. Trevor pivoted the phone toward Mrs. Holcomb. Ma'am, would you feel safer if a local, put that camera away, she barked, surprisingly fierce for 82. I know Marcus. You're strangers. Charlene's smile fractured. We're community-appointed assessors, Mrs. Holcomb. Hogwash. I chair the Real Safety Committee, and I've never seen you at a meeting. Trevor's phone drooped. I seized the momentum. Charlene, final offer, roll those suitcases down the walk, or deputies will do it for you. She inhaled, exhaled, and snapped her clipboard shut. Come on, Trevor. Phase 2. She stormed off, heels clicking. Trevor trailed, muttering about rigged systems. When their Prius peeled away, Mrs. Holcomb shuffled over. They'll be back, she warned. Bring receipts. Already started, I said, pointing to the Ring camera. Inside, I dumped Trevor's half-drunk IPA, locked every latch, and opened my laptop. If Charlene wanted a protocol war, I'd counter with actual statutes. I bookmarked fair housing laws, county deed verifications, and the HOA bylaws Charlene conveniently ignored. By sunset I'd assembled a digital fortress. The calm lasted one night. Saturday, 9 a.m., my inbox pinged. HOA notice of mediation. Signed only by Charlene Whitaker, acting president. She'd scheduled an emergency hearing at the clubhouse for noon, demanded I bring proof of lawful occupancy, and CC'd the Maple Grove group list so the neighborhood could spectate. I brewed stronger coffee and printed my title deed, mortgage clearance letter, and the county assessor's parcel screenshot. Stapled on top, a cease and desist drafted by my lawyer cousin in Chicago, freshly emailed with a winking emoji. At 11:45 I strolled to the clubhouse. A semicircle of folding chairs faced a plastic podium where Charlene stood like a discount judge. Trevor lounged behind her, phone ready. Neighbors murmured. Some looked embarrassed, others curious. A few wore expressions that said about time someone challenged Charlene. She banged a toy gavel, really, a pink child's gavel. The special session of Maple Grove HOA is called to order. Item 1, reassignment of 114, Orchard Lane due to demographic misalignment. Gasps. I step to the mic. Point of order. Article 3 of the bylaws states any reassignment motion requires signatures from 2 officers. Where's Vice President Gallagher? An elderly man in tweed raised his hand from row 3. I wasn't informed of this meeting. Charlene's smile twitched. Procedural irregularities can be rectified post-session. Objection, I said. Irregularities void the session. Furthermore, I held up my cousin's letter. Any attempt to dispossess a lawful owner triggers litigation and criminal complaint. Trevor zoomed in with his phone. Scare tactics, dude. I looked straight into the lens. Trevor, how many months of mortgage payments have you made here? Giggles spread. Charlene slammed the gavel. This is harassment. Mrs. Holcomb rose slowly. Harassment is forging forms and bullying a neighbor. She turned to the crowd. Who actually received Charlene's so-called compatibility survey? No hands. Councilman Patel, a quiet accountant, cleared his throat. Charlene, we elected you to manage landscaping invoices, not run an ethnic census. Laughter, some nervous, some relieved. Charlene's face finished melting. Fine. You're all blind to the risk. When property values tumble, don't blame me. She marched out, Trevor scrambling behind her. The meeting adjourned without a vote. Neighbors clustered around me, apologizing, pledging support. By evening my inbox overflowed with digital copies of every voicemail or message Charlene had ever sent hinting at demographic purity. Receipts, indeed. But Charlene had one resource left, outrage. Sunday night, a Facebook post from Maple Grove Guardians accused me of threatening community safety, paired with a photo of me holding the cease and desist. Comments erupted, half defending, half demanding I move where I belong. The post linked to a YouTube teaser. Exposing the HOA's secret agenda, premieres Friday. Trevor's handiwork. I pressed play. A trailer of shaky doorcam clips, menacing synth music, and red circle zooms around my face ended with ominous text, "Is your family safe?" Find out 8 p.m. Friday. Game on. Maple Grove's private Facebook group was usually a snoozy stream of lost cat alerts and mulch discount codes. By 10 p.m. Sunday it had erupted into trench warfare. Charlene Whitaker's post went live at 9:47, neighborhood alert. Are our standards under attack? HOA leadership is being silenced by intimidation tactics. Join the live stream Friday 8 p.m. to learn the truth about demographic manipulation at 114 Orchard Lane. Attached was a freeze frame of me, Marcus Ellis, mid-blink, holding my lawyer-drafted cease and desist like a mug-shot placard. Charlene had slapped a blood-red "Danger to Community" sticker over my chest. Within minutes comment threads split like fault lines. My allies, Mrs. Holcomb, the Gallaghers, Mr. Patel, defended me with polite facts. Charlene's choir repeated words like heritage and stability. A few anonymous accounts lobbed the full lexicon of dog whistles. Someone even photoshopped me onto a Monopoly board square labeled, "Forced Relocation." I could have spent the night doom scrolling. Instead I called in reinforcements, 16-year-old coding prodigy Lena Alvarez, Maple Grove's unofficial tech support. I'd helped her debug a school robotics script last semester. She owed me nothing, but her eyes lit up when I explained the stakes. Digital autopsy. I'm in, she said, popping open her laptop on my dining room table. Her fingers flew. First, we preserve everything, screenshots with metadata. If Charlene deletes posts later, we still have the receipts. By midnight Lena had archived the Facebook thread, scraped Reddit chatter, and begun mapping IP hops from Charlene's teaser video on YouTube. Trevor, it turned out, had registered a fresh Gmail, TruthGuardian86 at, the same address linked to the YouTube channel MapleWatch TV. Its subscriber count was 43, 20 real locals, 23 troll accounts created in the last week, all suspiciously enthusiastic about keeping Maple Grove safe. Lena smirked. They're trying to astroturf a movement with sock puppets. Amateur hour. I woke to 186 notification pings. Charlene's post had jumped platforms. A subreddit called r/HOA Horrors featured me as Metro Coder tries to bully HOA Queen. Instead of playing whack-a-mole with rumors, I took Lena's advice: control your own narrative. At noon I posted a calm 20-minute Ask Me Anything video. Seated on my porch, deed documents blurred for privacy, I laid out the timeline: door pounding, fake forms, HOA ambush, 911 threat, point by point. I spoke slowly, kept my tone low, cited the county recorder's website, and invited skeptics to review public records, link below. Then I logged off and went for a run. By sunset the AMA had 12,000 views, mostly sympathetic. One top comment read, "Plot twist, Karen can't evict receipts." Charlene responded with a shaky selfie rant in her Prius: "He's gaslighting the neighborhood. Bylaws give me authority." You could hear Trevor in the passenger seat whispering stage directions. Mention property values. Even loyal followers cringed. The video ratioed itself in real time. Charlene doubled down, canvassing porch to porch with glossy flyers: secure our streets, attend the rally. At the bottom, Friday 7:30 p.m., Maple Grove Recreation Hall, rain or shine. I responded with pure numbers. Using HOA annual reports and county databases, I built an infographic showing property values in Maple Grove had climbed 5% since my purchase. Outpacing Charlene's pre-diversity years. I mailed it, not posted, mailed, folded under a friendly note: "Dear neighbor, facts fear. Coffee's on me if you have questions. Marcus, 114 Orchard." The physical mail counterpunch worked. People read postcards more carefully than heated comment threads. By Thursday evening, nosy Mrs. Langley texted, "Charlene's numbers smell funny. Bring your chart to the rally, okay?" Lena arrived early, MacBook in tow, wearing a tee that read 404. Bias not found. She set up at the back of the recreation hall beside two older guys from the amateur radio club. "Bandwidth insurance," she whispered, running an Ethernet cable to the router case. Trevor's plan to hijack the Wi-Fi for his stream just died a soft death. The hall filled, retirees clutching lawn chair gossip, stroller parents, teens lured by the prospect of viral drama. Charlene strutted in at 7:40, podium ready in another radioactive blazer, this one citron green. Trevor lugged a tripod, GoPro, and ring light. He eyed our hardwired laptop suspiciously, but the meeting had rules: open to all equipment. Charlene insisted on transparency, she'd get it. At 7:59 Charlene tapped the mic, feedback squealed, an omen. "Neighbors, thank you for braving false narratives to protect Maple Grove," she began, voice quivering with righteous tremolo. She flashed a slide labeled, "Demographic Drift, the Invisible Threat," a bar graph with unlabeled axes. Gasps rippled. Not from the data, meaningless, but from the naked phrase. Next slide, my deed photo, the one she'd posted Monday, stamped under investigation. I rose slowly. Point of order, that document is public, not under any investigation. Charlene ignored me. Exhibit B, she announced, cueing Trevor's video, the infamous YouTube exposé. The screen flickered, blacked out, and replaced itself with a copyright violation notice from Google. This video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Marcus Ellis. The crowd burst into confused chatter. Trevor shrieked, "Censorship," but Lena calmly hit play on her laptop. A new window displayed a side-by-side, left, the original clips from my Ring feed, right, the page of YouTube's terms of service requiring owner permission for private footage. I cleared my throat. Fun fact, stealing video is still theft, even for heroes in Spider-Man shirts. Laughter erupted. Charlene's cheeks flushed to match her blazer. He's manipulating big tech. An elderly man shouted, or you're manipulating us, Charlene. Charlene shuffled papers. Moving on, security reports show rising crime risk when compatibility is ignored. She brandished a police blotter printout. Officer Daniels, our community liaison cop, seated near the exit, stood. Ma'am, I prepared those stats, and none implicate Mr. Ellis. Maple Grove hasn't logged a burglary in 2 years. The hall now buzzed openly against her. Trevor, sweating, whispered but the stage mic caught it, sis, pivot. She did, straight into meltdown territory. If you love Maple Grove you'll sign my emergency motion tonight. She produced a clipboard thick with forms. Mrs. Holcomb walked up cane first, snatched a sheet, held it up, neighbors, these are vacate orders, she's pre-signed the addresses. Her quavering voice hardened. That's fraud. The audience erupted. Phones raised, hashtags forming in their heads. Charlene pounded the podium. This is about values, she screamed. Her voice cracked, silence followed. You could hear the ventilation fans. In that hush, Lena clicked to our final slide, Charlene's HOA oath of office, highlighting the clause, without prejudice to race, creed, or origin. Under it, Lena overlaid Charlene's Monday quote, people like him lower cohesion. The room exhaled one long boo. Councilman Patel, previously neutral, stepped up front. Meeting adjourned. I'm calling a special board session for censure. Charlene's rally was over. But she'd planned a second act. At 11:27 p.m. my street cameras pinged, 2 hooded figures dumping leaflets on doorsteps. I zoomed, Trevor's gait was unmistakable. The flyers read, Ellis Lies, HOA Under Siege, with a QR linking to a new website save-maple-grove.com. By 11:45 Lena and I filed a digital trespass complaint. Officer Daniels drove by and caught them on body cam. Charlene screeched about free speech, Daniels read trespass law verbatim. They slunk home, but not before Lena captured whole site backups, HTML tags confirming Trevor as webmaster. While Charlene nursed public humiliation, Lena discovered gold. Trevor's Google Drive, same Gmail, contained Maple Grove masterplan.xlsx. Unprotected. Within were tabs, priority removals, probable buyers, preferred ethnicity, collateral messaging. Some entries dated 5 months back. I forwarded the file to City Attorney Rosa Delgado and CC'd Councilman Patel. Rosa's Saturday reply, thank you. Present Monday 9 a.m. for a statement. Another copy went to investigative reporter Dana Liu at Channel 8. She'd been texting for days, now I had something on record. City Hall conference room smelled of old paper and fresh scandal. Attorney Delgado, Officer Daniels, Councilman Patel, HOA VP Gallagher, and I reviewed the spreadsheet while a stenographer typed. Trevor's doc listed me under Phase 1 occupant replacement, with notes, target date June 1st, Marcus likely to fold if pressured financially. Gallagher paled. She told us cost of living workshops, not this. Patel shook his head. This goes beyond censure. Delgado nodded. We're elevating to the state AG. This is fair housing intimidation. By evening, Channel 8 led the news, leaked files suggest HOA leader plotted demographic purge. Dana broadcast my ring footage, licensed properly, and interviewed Mrs. Holcomb, who delivered a viral gem. Bless her heart, Charlene thought racism could hide behind clipboards. Turns out sunlight's a wonderful disinfectant. Twitter adopted a new tag, #ClipboardKaren. It trended regionally within hours. State investigators moved quickly, Charlene's brazen paper trail left breadcrumbs glowing neon. Subpoenas hit Tuesday, devices seized Wednesday. Trevor's GoPro memory card still contained drafts of eviction announcement videos. Friday morning sheriff deputies arrested the siblings. Charlene emerged in handcuffs, immaculate blazer swapped for a gray hoodie. Reporters shouted questions. She sobbed, "This is political persecution." Trevor tried a grin, "We'll beat this, bro." The mugshot flash froze it halfway. Charges: forgery of legal documents, attempted grand larceny, real property, conspiracy to violate fair housing statutes, trespass, bail hearing televised. Judge Rowley quoted the spreadsheet line about preferred ethnicity. Bails set at $100,000 each. They scraped 10% through a distant uncle, conditions barred them from Maple Grove. Neighbors held a potluck that night, part relief, part rubbernecking. Over casseroles, one resident sighed, "I liked her Easter egg hunts." Mr. Patel replied dryly, "Bigotry spoils even chocolate eggs." Courtroom 5B overflowed. I testified first, calm but firm, walking jurors through Charlene's clipboard, the false forms, Trevor's suitcase incursion. The defense tried to paint me as hostile from the start. My ring footage contradicted them. Lena dazzled as expert witness. In graphic slides she traced IP addresses, explain like M5 style, to show Charlene and Trevor fabricated online support. Jurors nodded, some chuckled. Mrs. Holcomb's testimony drew silence, then gasps, when she played Charlene's voicemail calling the HOA our last line against infiltration. Charlene herself took the stand, a gamble that backfired. The prosecutor displayed the spreadsheet. "Ms. Whitaker, what does priority removal, family 202 mean?" Charlene stammered, "A coding error." And preferred buyers, Euro heritage, is a typo. Context matters, she wailed. Trevor, on advice of counsel, pleaded the fifth. After 5 days, the jury needed 3 hours, guilty on all counts. At sentencing, Charlene delivered a tear-streaked apology that never used the words racism or bias. Judge Rowley was unmoved. Charlene Whitaker, 18 months county jail, 500 hours community service with the State Fair Housing Council, permanent ban from HOA leadership. Trevor Whitaker, 6 months suspended sentence, 2 years probation, mandatory bias education, restraining order from 114, Orchard Lane. Channel 8's Chirin read, Karen gets 18 months for clipboard coup. Real estate blogs hailed Maple Grove as a case study in rapid resilience. Listings ticked upward. A downtown developer offered scholarships for underrepresented Maple Grove teens, named the Whitaker Fund by delicious irony. Charlene's house hit the market at a discount, lawsuits drained savings. The buyers? The Nwadowi family, Nigerian-American hardware engineers with twin toddlers. Neighbors lined the sidewalk with welcome balloons. Even Mrs. Langley baked jollof-spiced meat pies after Googling recipes. Trevor. Rumor says he's coding a retro game YouTube channel from a studio apartment miles away. He mails me a Spider-Man sticker with the note, "Your patience wrecked me harder than jail." I slap it on the lawnmower fuel can, a reminder that calm power slices weeds at the root. One balmy July morning, exactly a year after Charlene's first door pound, I sip Ethiopian roast on my porch. The street hums with sprinklers, not sirens. Across the road, the Nwadowi twins chalk hopscotch grids, their parents wave. Mrs. Holcomb trims roses under a sun hat that reads, 99 problems but a Karen ain't one. The HOA bulletin arrives via email, now fully transparent, minutes drafted by VP Gallagher. Item 1, Maple Grove Diversity and Data Fair in August, chaired by Lena Alvarez. Item 2, unanimous vote to fund a quiet tech pilot, Chad's decibelmeter cousin. Progress cycles. My property app shows a 9% increase, value is nice, but the true profit is invisible, a neighborhood cured of silent prejudice, at least for now. I close my laptop, set down the mug, and breathe. Not silence, kids laugh, birds bicker, a lawn mower sputters, but harmony. The absence of fear that a clipboard can erase your belonging. Charlene once said community standards were vital. She wasn't entirely wrong, we just rewrote what standards means. It looks like open bylaws, fair hearings, and a coding teenager poking holes in hate. And when Sunrise catches the Spider-Man sticker on my gas can, I grin at the reminder. The loudest villains sometimes defeat themselves, especially when their Wi-Fi password is password 123. Indictments arrive the way thunderstorms do, first a hush, then a rumble, then a single sharp crack. For Charlene Whitaker the crack came at precisely 6:02 a.m. on a drizzly April Tuesday, when two plainclothes deputies tapped her citron green front door. Marcus Ellis heard the cruiser radios from his porch 4 houses down. He did not gloat, he simply folded his morning paper, saluted Officer Daniels, and stepped back inside. Charlene opened the door clutching a polka-dot coffee mug like a hostage. Trevor peered over her shoulder wearing pajama bottoms patterned with miniature tacos. The lead deputy read the charges. Forgery of legal documents, attempted grand larceny real property, conspiracy to violate state and federal fair housing laws, criminal trespass. Charlene's jaw fluttered, but she managed, political persecution. Trevor muttered, "We're gonna countersue, bro." The cuffs clicked anyway. Maple Grove's group text thread, suburb burner, pinged non-stop, sheriff on Orangewood. Citron blazer now in silver bracelets. Karen down. Within an hour local Channel 8 parked its satellite van at the cul-de-sac entrance. Reporter Dana Liu, hair slicked under a rain hood, spoke solemnly. This quiet neighborhood became national news after an HOA leader tried to remove a black homeowner with forged compatibility paperwork. Those allegations have now become felony counts. Marcus watched from inside, hands around his Ethiopian roast. Sunlight began leaking through the rain. Exactly the sort of weather that makes hardwood floors glow. Judge Rowley's courtroom smelled of damp coats and hot printers. Charlene appeared in cuffs still wearing her neon pink house slippers, her lawyer, a broad-shouldered man named Sanders, juggling binders. Trevor shuffled behind her, head bowed but eyes scanning for cameras like an influencer starved of light. Prosecutor Kailani Rios listed probable cause evidence. The Ring doorbell footage showing Charlene and Trevor entering Marcus's home without consent. The doctored, community compatibility protocol Charlene submitted to the HOA. Trevor's Google Drive master plan, cataloging Maple Grove families by race and assigning priority removals. Sanders argued his clients were overzealous volunteers, misled by ambiguous HOA bylaws. Rios countered by quoting the spreadsheet row that labeled Marcus, demographic misalignment, Phase 1 extraction. Gasps fluttered among court spectators. Judge Rowley set bond at $100,000 each, cash or surety, plus GPS ankle monitors and strict banishment from Maple Grove. Charlene tried to cut in, "Your Honor, my property rights." Rowley raised a palm, "Speak through counsel, Ms. Whitaker." By evening, Charlene's cousin launched a GoFundMe titled, "Save Community Defender from Cancel Culture." The description blamed woke mobs and big tech censorship. It raised $620 in 2 days, then froze when donors learned that Defender faced hate crime enhancements. The campaign vanished, screenshots lived on. Trevor's gamer buddies attempted a Twitch telethon called "No Clipboards, No Peace." Average viewer count, 31. Donations, $14.33. Twitch chat roasted him with Spider-Man memes until he rage quit. Charlene's bail was finally posted by her great-uncle, a retired dentist who valued family loyalty over optics. Trevor's came from a subprime bail bond service that required his 2006 Nissan Xterra as collateral. When Charlene stepped out of county lockup in a paper mask and ankle beacon, Channel 8 cameras flocked. Dana Liu asked, "Any remorse for targeting Marcus Ellis?" Charlene said only, "You people won't break me. You people." One more clip for the highlight reel. In early May the county's discovery portal exploded with PDFs. Marcus's pro bono attorney cousin, Amelia, forwarded him a zip file labeled State v. Whitaker, Discovery Dump. Marcus brewed a second pot and clicked open. Email chains revealed Charlene had courted other HOAs. To keep Maple Grove values, we must filter incompatible demographics. Our pilot extraction will prove legal precedents. Sister communities in Texas did this quietly. None had. Trevor chimed in with emojis, prohibited clown face 4 families on his replacement list. Money mouth face 4 houses he'd earmarked for himself or preferred buyers. He even pasted Zillow screenshots with captions like, "Imagine land parties here." One email thread titled, "Optics," was pure gold for the prosecution, Charlene writing, "We cannot say race in documents, use culture or heritage. Less lawsuit risk." Another, "If we force him to sell, we offer relocation stipend, optics of kindness." Kailani Rios called Amelia the next morning, "Thank your cousin. Those emails are courtroom fireworks." Amelia, just defending hardwood floor peace. Marcus saved a file copy labeled Whitaker_wreckage.pdf on a thumb drive shaped like a tiny clipboard, Lena's gag gift. Trial set for June. Jury summons blanketed the county. Most Maple Grove residents were excused for conflict of interest, but the voir dire process unearthed telling attitudes. Prospective juror number 9, a retiree, said, "HOA overreach is why I bought 5 acres in the woods." Number 12, a schoolteacher, admitted binge reading the Reddit thread, "She's like the final boss of Karen behavior." Number 17, a data analyst, promised impartiality but wore socks that read, "Racism is a bug, not a feature." Sanders used 3 strikes on obvious anti-Karen jurors. Rios struck 2 condo board presidents sympathetic to property value anxiety. Final panel, 7 women, 5 men, racially mixed, median age early 40s, exactly the demographic Charlene once vowed to filter. Prosecutor Rios addressed jurors first, voice even, "This case is simple, the defendants forged documents, trespassed, and plotted to steal a house. They did so because the homeowner is black. You will see video, spreadsheets, and hear their own words." Sanders countered with flourish, "This is a misunderstanding. My clients acted out of civic duty, believing they followed HOA protocols. Yes, they were misguided, they are not criminals." Charlene dabbed invisible tears. Trevor scribbled doodles of gavel-wielding superheroes labeled, "Me vs. Woke Man." Officer Daniels testified first, replaying bodycam footage. Jurors saw Charlene insist her paperwork was legitimate community oversight, saw Trevor swirl Marcus's IPA. Gasps and quick laughter. Marcus Ellis followed, wearing charcoal suit and measured calm. Rios guided him through doorbell video. Sanders cross-examined, "Mr. Ellis, did you ever explicitly forbid them entry?" "Seconds after they stepped past me, yes. Could that ban have been unclear? I believe, 'Get out of my house,' is clear in any language." Jurors chuckled, Sanders flushed. Lena Alvarez dazzled next, laser pointer in hand. She mapped Trevor's IP addresses, displayed metadata timestamps. Sanders objected to tech jargon, the judge allowed a simplified explanation. Lena analogized, "They left digital fingerprints everywhere, they might as well have signed confession emojis." Mrs. Holcomb hobbled to the stand, cane thumping like a metronome. She played Charlene's voicemail on courtroom speakers, "We must act before Maple Grove turns into a demographic experiment." Rowley's eyebrows arched, jurors scribbled furiously. Alberto Gallagher, HOA VP, produced bylaws, showing Charlene held no presidency, only newsletter duty. He explained Article 3 requiring 2 officer signatures for property hearings. She had 1 signature, her own. Real estate economist Dr. Yvonne Shaw debunked Charlene's claim that diversity lowered values. She projected Maple Grove's Zillow curve, a steady climb. "If anything, inclusive neighborhoods appreciate faster. Trevor's eyes bulged. Charlene whisper hissed, expert charlatan. Judge Rowley, counsel, control your client. Rios rested. Sanders called two character witnesses, Charlene's church friend and Trevor's ex-store manager from GameStop, both praising their community spirit. Cross-examination revealed the church friend had been promised a preferred buyer discount. The jury's collective side-eye was palpable. Trevor declined to testify. Charlene insisted, ignoring lawyer pleas. She took the stand in a lavender blazer, ready for redemption. It went downhill fast. Rios, Ms. Whitaker, what did demographic misalignment, phase 1 extraction mean? Charlene, an internal brainstorming phrase. Rios, brainstorming racism. Defense, objection. Rowley, overruled. Answer. Charlene, no. It was about cultural fit. Rios projected her email, we must filter incompatible races. Charlene stammered, taken out of context. Rios, does context change the word races? Silence. Rowley recessed for lunch, courthouse cafeteria hummed with verdict predictions. Sanders tried pathos, Charlene got lost in HOA labyrinths. She let fear override judgment. She deserves correction, not incarceration. Rios answered. Fear is no excuse for forging authority and weaponizing prejudice. This was not housekeeping. This was home invasion by clipboard. She paused, then added, Marcus Ellis didn't fight back with fists, he fought with facts. Now you hold the final fact, equality under law. Jurors received 143 exhibits, 8 hours of testimony. They deliberated 3 hours, ordered dinner, and returned at 8:11 p.m. Foreperson, we the jury find the defendant Charlene Whitaker, guilty on all counts. Trevor Whitaker. Guilty on counts 2, 3, and 4, not guilty on count 1, document forgery. Charlene collapsed into sobs. Trevor whimpered, bro, I'm not going to jail, right? Bailiffs guided them out. Outside, cameras flashed, Dana Lou delivered live, justice in Maple Grove. The jury sends a signal, clipboards can't cloak bigotry. 1 month later, sentencing brought fresh media. Charlene's lawyer argued for leniency, no prior record, deep community ties. Rios recommended 3 years. Victim impact statements came next. Marcus spoke calmly, I ask for accountability, not vengeance. But accountability must hurt enough to teach. Mrs. Holcomb brandished her cane, this ain't 1950. My bones may creak, but my spirit still marches. Dr. Shaw submitted data on the chilling effect of housing intimidation. Rowley pronounced, Charlene. 18 months in county jail, 500 hours community service with the State Fair Housing Council, 5-year prohibition from serving on any HOA or housing board, mandatory racial bias counseling. Trevor, 6 months suspended sentence, 2 years probation, 300 hours community service, public library tech tutoring, restraining order from 114 Orchard and HOA meetings for 5 years. Charlene wailed. Trevor muttered, at least no jail. Rowley corrected. Probation jail time waived, failing any violation. Trevor gulped. Amelia filed a civil suit on Marcus's behalf, emotional distress, trespass, attempted conversion of property. Charlene's homeowner insurance settled for $225,000. Marcus took enough to cover legal costs, then announced the Ellis Holcomb STEM Opportunity Scholarship. It funds robotics kits for underrepresented Maple Grove teens, first recipient, coder prodigy Lena Alvarez. At the press conference Marcus said, they wanted to extract value from this neighborhood. We'll do the opposite, invest in it. Dana Lou's headline, Clipboards to Scholarships, a community flips the script. With Charlene barred, the HOA held an emergency election. Albert Gallagher became president, Mrs. Holcomb accepted honorary historian. First bylaw change, all meetings live-streamed with archived minutes. Second, mandatory anti-bias training for board volunteers. Third, a rotating diversity chair, Lena got first term. They renamed the annual picnic to Maple Grove Mosaic Day. Food trucks lined the cul-de-sac, Nigerian jollof, Korean bulgogi, Mexican elotes, Southern barbecue. Kids chalked driveways with "Belong Here," adults swapped Purdue seedlings, a DJ kept decibels under HOA limits. Not a clipboard in sight. Someone set up a dunk tank featuring a cardboard cutout of a neon blazer Karen. Laughter echoed, but not mockery. Release. Reports trickled from the county jail. Charlene refused racial bias classes at first, citing indoctrination. After a month, she relented when denying meant losing commissary privileges. Trevor visited once, ankle monitor blinking. Charlene told him, "Maple Grove is ruined." Trevor replied, "No, sis. It's just moved on." She sent Marcus a court-ordered apology letter. The printed text was perfunctory, the handwritten postscript read, "I was trying to protect what we built. I see now fear built it wrong." Marcus filed the letter, unsure how much was genuine, but progress sometimes comes in centimeters. One July morning, exactly a year since Trevor's suitcase first scraped Marcus's threshold, the neighborhood woke to hummingbirds and the soft whir of Lena's new drone, mapping lawn irrigation efficiency for her STEM capstone. The drone beamed real-time data to a community web app, transparent tech harnessed for collective benefit. Marcus grinned at the poetic justice. A realtor's yard sign outside 204 Mulberry, once on Charlene's replacement list, boasted, sold 17% over ask. The buyers? A biracial couple with a newborn. Their first porch gift, a basket from Mrs. Holcomb, jam jars labeled, "Welcome Home." Marcus updated his blog. Charlene taught Maple Grove two truths: fear can wear a blazer, and courage can sip coffee. Fear forged clipboards, courage filed affidavits. Fear tried a spreadsheet purge. Courage built a scholarship fund. We chose courage. He clicked publish, set the mug down, and listened. Children squealed, lawn sprinklers hissed, a distant ice cream truck jangled, every sound a note in the new Maple Grove Symphony. Not silent, but harmonious. Trevor, now working remote IT for a Hispanic-owned startup, sent Marcus an email subject line, "Patch released. Body, fixed my bias bug. Thanks for QA." Attached, a digital art piece. Spider-Man peeling off a Karen mask to reveal an emoji shrug. Marcus laughed aloud. Growth, evidently, could come even from cargo short ashes. That evening Marcus invited neighbors for espresso tasting, Ethiopian, Guatemalan, Vietnamese. 20 chairs circled his living room hardwood, once threatened but never ceded. They toasted with demitasse cups. Mrs. Holcomb raised hers highest. To futures unclipboard. Laughter, clinks. Outside, porch lights twinkled like constellations in neat grids, each bulb illuminating a house untouched by forced vacancy because one homeowner answered a door with calm resolve and kept receipts. Somewhere in the county jail a neon blazer lay folded in a property bag, waiting for release day. But Maple Grove didn't wait. It tilled the soil, planted scholarship seeds, and erected a tiny free library shaped like a clipboard, Lena's idea, plaque reading, lessons filed here. Take one, leave better. The HOA approved it unanimously. Even clipboards, it turns out, can hold goodness, when you swap eviction forms for pages of possibility. Marcus locked up at midnight, barefoot on gleaming planks, and realized hardwood floors aren't just lumber. They're mirrors. In them he saw every neighbor who'd stood for him, every line of code Lena wrote, every juror who weighed facts over fear. The reflection was solid, warm, unstealable. He whispered to the quiet house, "We're home." Marcus Ellis had spent most of his adult life reverse engineering code, fixing silent flaws that crashed systems weeks before anyone noticed. He never thought he'd do the same for an entire neighborhood, but on a warm May afternoon 2 years after the clipboard coup, Maple Grove hummed with proof that a patch, once applied, could hold. The cul-de-sac looked different now. The Whitaker house, foreclosed, renovated, repainted soft teal, belonged to the Tecomariam family. Their twins dashed down the driveway in matching bike helmets, shrieking gleefully in Amharic spiked English. Across the street, the Nwadiwi's magnolia cast fresh shade over a rainbow bench Lena Alvarez built for her Eagle Scout equivalent coding badge, each slat etched with a JavaScript quote about inclusion. Even the HOA newsletter had new branding, Maple Grove Mosaic. The masthead tagline, penned by Mrs. Holcomb, read rooted in difference, rising together. None of this meant problems had vanished. Marcus understood systems were never bug-free. But the ratio of problems to goodwill had flipped, and that counted as a stable release. He clicked a final line of code for the Mosaic Day registration portal, hit deploy, and closed his laptop. Time to visit a former adversary. County jail felt colder than server rooms Marcus used to crawl through at 3 a.m. He'd resisted coming for months, unsure whether the gesture would be healing or hubris. But Charlene Whitaker's release date loomed, a mere 6 weeks away. And he'd promised himself Maple Grove's new chapter had to begin face-to-face, not via headlines or legal briefs. Glass partition, clacking phone receivers, antiseptic air. Charlene shuffled in wearing khaki scrubs instead of neon blazers. She looked smaller, hair cropped, ankle bracelet traded for state-issue sneakers. She hesitated, then picked up the phone. Mr. Ellis. Her voice held no edge, just fatigue. Charlene, he replied. May I call you that? She nodded. Wasn't expecting you. I wasn't sure I'd come. He exhaled. But a community is only as good as its ability to talk, really talk, after the lawyers leave. She tilted her head. You want an apology? I already have one, on record. I'm here for a different line of code. What happens when you step back onto Orchard Lane and see a street you don't recognize? A faint, rueful smile. I read the Mosaic newsletters. Looks colorful. It is. And stable. Diversity didn't crash the property values. Contrary to your predictions, they're the highest in the county. Charlene closed her eyes, maybe picturing the teal house that once displayed her manicured petunias. I built those predictions on fear, she admitted. Fear sells at HOA meetings. And facts debug it, Marcus said gently. When you return, the HOA expects 300 more hours of fair housing service. Mrs. Holcomb volunteered to mentor you. Charlene barked a laugh. The cane lady? She insisted. Marcus offered a half-smile. She says punishment finishes when learning begins. Charlene studied him. Why do you care? You won. Marcus shook his head. Nobody won the day your clipboard hit my porch. We all just stopped losing when we faced the bug. She wiped a tear. I'll try, Marcus. I don't know how, but I'll try. He believed her, cautiously. Anyone could write a new function, executing it at runtime was harder. Trevor Whitaker's restraining order kept him 5 miles from Maple Grove, so Marcus met him in a downtown coffee bar called Bite and Beans, Wi-Fi strong, baristas wearing Raspberry Pi pins. Trevor had emailed first, need advice. Job interview tomorrow. Could use a reference not soaked in scandal. He arrived in a crisp button-down, Spider-Man nowhere in sight except a small enamel pin on his backpack. Programming bootcamp finished, he said, sliding a portfolio across the table. Full-stack junior dev. I wrote a tool that scrapes HOA bylaws and flags discriminatory clauses. Marcus scanned the code snippets, clean, commented, unit tested. Impressive. Ironic, huh? Trevor chuckled. Trying to dismantle the nonsense I once spread. He drew a breath. Look, man, I was an idiot. Blinded by free housing and my sister's echo chamber. But jail visits, bias training, they rewired me. Not perfect, just patched. Marcus nodded. Patches hold if you maintain them. Remember that. He agreed to be a character reference, conditional on 6 months of spotless behavior. Trevor clasped his hand, eyes shimmering. Outside, the pair parted ways. Marcus felt lighter. Forgiveness, it turned out, weighed less than resentment, even when meted cautiously. June's first Saturday dawned cloudless. Flags of 30 countries fluttered along Maple Grove's main loop, each clipped to mailboxes with painter's tape, HOA approved. Food trucks lined the curb. Ethiopian injera, Filipino lumpia, Ukrainian pierogi, Chicago-style vegan hot dogs for the plant-based crowd. A stage occupied Charlene's former compatibility inspection spot, now repurposed for Lena's drone-filmed livestream. Marcus emceed, mic in hand. Welcome, neighbors, old and new, to Mosaic Day 2.0, where code, cuisine, and community compile. Cheers erupted. He introduced scholarship recipients, 3 8th graders who'd built accessibility apps for elderly residents. He honored Mrs. Holcomb with a lifetime HOA waiver. She joked she'd use it to ignore garbage can placement rules. He even read a statement from Charlene, still incarcerated but nearing release. May our judgments be guided by data, not dread. A few clapped, others murmured. Healing required patience. At noon, drone footage beamed to an outdoor screen. It showed Maple Grove from 100 feet, a spiral of picnic blankets, kids racing chalk mazes, neighbors exchanging recipe cards. Over the image Lena overlaid real-time metrics from her Harmony sensor, a Raspberry Pi measuring sound levels, smile frequency, crowd analysis algorithm, and cross-household interactions. A dashboard needle landed in the green next to the label Community Health, 92%. Version jump from last year, Lena announced. Applause. 6 weeks later Charlene stepped out of county jail carrying a plastic tote of possessions. Marcus, Mrs. Holcomb, and Officer Daniels stood waiting. Daniels clipped on Charlene's new ankle monitor, lighter model, then drove off. Mrs. Holcomb handed Charlene a cane-length paintbrush. You start service tomorrow, repainting the old HOA shed. Fresh color, fresh start. Charlene swallowed hard and nodded. They walked Maple Grove's loop. Neighbors peeked from porches, some waved, some folded arms. The Tecomerium's twins zoomed by on scooters. Charlene watched them, tears brimming. Marcus spoke softly. Your ideas about compatibility almost erased those kids' futures here. But they're thriving. How will you contribute now? Charlene gripped the brush like an oath. By listening first, talking second, coding third. Coding? Marcus asked. She smiled shyly. Trevor taught me Python over jail video visits, said if I could use spreadsheets for harm, I'd better learn to use code for good. Marcus chuckled. Patch accepted. 3 months later, the HOA's first in-person meeting with Charlene present drew record attendance. She sat in row 3, not at the table. Marcus chaired, temporary appointment. Agenda Item 2, vote to add a Restorative Projects Fund, financed partly by civil suit leftovers, partly by volunteer pledges. Projects would include ADA ramps, bilingual signage, and quarterly bias training workshops. When the floor opened, Charlene rose. Silence fell. Last time I addressed this body, I spoke of fear. Today I speak of responsibility. I volunteer 100 of my 300 service hours to manage logistics for the fund. A pause, then Mrs. Langley, once swayed by Charlene's scare tactics, clapped first. Others followed, growing into full applause. The motion passed unanimously. Afterward, Charlene approached Marcus, eyes shining. "It'll take years to balance the damage." "Years pass anyway," he replied. "Better to spend them fixing." On the first anniversary of the verdict, Marcus found a package on his porch, a small wooden box shaped like a clipboard, handcrafted, sanded smooth, walnut-stained. A note inside, penned by Charlene: "I once believed clipboards gave me power. Now I know they're just surfaces that can hold harm, or hope. Please use this for the scholarship fund logs." Charlene, beneath the note lay a cashier's check, $7,300, the remainder of her savings after court fines. Marcus carried the box to the tiny free library shaped like a clipboard. He placed it inside, alongside volumes ranging from Fair Housing for Dummies to The Pragmatic Programmer. He locked the glass door, stepped back, and watched sunset glaze Maple Grove in honey light. Trevor's sneaker crunches approached. He presented a beta version of his HOA bylaw scanner on a phone screen. "Works in 30 states now." Marcus high-fived him. "Push to open source." Trevor grinned. "Already forked on GitHub." Late September nights in Maple Grove carried the first hint of fireplace smoke. Marcus sat on his porch rocker with his Ethiopian roast, still single origin, but now brewed in a communal roaster co-op Trevor helped code scheduling software for. A gentle chatter drifted from the Tekelmariam's yard where the twins attempted knock-knock jokes in 3 languages. Somewhere down the block, Lena's drone ticked above treetops, mapping leaf-raking volunteers. Marcus opened his blog draft. 1 year post-verdict, I'm asked whether Maple Grove is fixed. Code folks know no software is bug-free. But good code embraces sunlight, audits, open-source eyes. We became open-source neighbors. We'll refactor again when the next bug appears. And we'll do it with empathy added to the dependencies list. He published. Closed the laptop. The street was not silent, it never would be. There were sprinklers, basketball thumps, a baby's wail, laughter nodding with cicadas. It sounded like belonging. Tea-light lanterns glowed on every porch, Charlene's idea, executed during her service hours. Each lantern bore a quote from neighbors' native tongues. Marcus's flickered Amharic and C code side by side, printf, we all compile better together, he breathed in and out, hardwood floors warm beneath bare feet, no longer mirrors of battle scars but dance floors for community possibility. Somewhere behind him the tiny clipboard library creaked as Mrs. Holcomb slid in a new book. She called through the screen door, "Marcus, you need Git for Humans in here." He laughed. "Add it to the pull request, Mrs. H." And the porch light stayed on, not as a warning, but as an invitation, an open API for every neighbor willing to debug bias and merge in kindness. True neighborhoods, whether on a cul-de-sac, in a high-rise, or inside an online forum, aren't defined by matching lawns or orderly silence. They're woven from countless acts of mutual regard, firm boundaries, and the courage to confront quiet injustices before they metastasize. Marcus Ellis's confrontation with a clipboard-wielding Karen reminds us that prejudice often masquerades as policy and that the strongest defense isn't louder outrage but calm mastery of facts, laws, and our own tempers. His decision to document every interaction, involve unbiased witnesses, and let verifiable data speak did more than secure his deed. It modeled how any of us can turn volatility into teachable moments. The saga also reveals a second, subtler truth: consequences need not end in permanent exile. When accountability is applied swiftly and transparently, even the most obstinate offenders can begin a slow conversion from fear to understanding, from barricading neighborhoods to building scholarship funds. In practical terms, that means keeping meticulous records, learning the statutes that protect both you and your neighbors, and remembering that kindness without boundaries invites abuse, while boundaries tempered with empathy invite transformation. For older adults who have weathered many cycles of change and for seniors reflecting on the legacy they'll leave, this story urges a balance between vigilance and grace. Speak up early, document carefully, forgive cautiously, and reinvest any victory into making the next person's path smoother than yours. Diversity, far from eroding property values or community character, actually inoculates a neighborhood against brittle thinking by ensuring that fresh ideas, new skills, and wider perspectives circulate like healthy blood. Ultimately, the greatest return on standing up to bigotry isn't the legal win or the spike in home equity. It's waking up each morning to a street where children of every accent can chalk rainbows on the sidewalk without someone brandishing a clipboard of fake authority. If that vision resonates with you, if you believe respect is the best home improvement project at any age, please let us know where you're watching from in the comments, tap like to boost stories that fight hate with reason, subscribe for more real-life lessons, and ring the bell so you never miss a chapter in this ongoing, neighbor-to-neighbor masterclass in dignity.